Hey guys, it's your boy John Bay. Um, it is January 12th to 2026, and I've been meaning to make this video for a while. And I wanted to do it at the beginning of the year, but it didn't start off too great. But here we are, and I'm finally making this video. This is a raw, uncut, unedited, just I don't know, I guess it's like a voice memo or just a time capsule of just a reflection on 2025. And I recently, 2025, I started my journey on filmmaking. And it's been such a cathartic experience of just a rush of emotions and thoughts and feelings. And I guess I just wanted to put it into words that I say out loud, I guess. I'm gonna be very vulnerable here. I did start journaling, which has been great for me, for my mental health, and for a lot of reasons. And it has helped me put my thoughts into words and just insight into my character and all that. But I think it's another thing to just say out loud. And I want to say these things out loud, and I want to tell people, but sometimes I feel like I don't have anyone to tell, so I'm telling myself. And while I was in my filmmaking journey, I had to do like a director's bio statement on Film Freeway, where I was submitting my first short film, How to Make Mapo Tofu, and I didn't know what to write, so I looked back, actually watched my old videos, throwback to SBY Productions, where I made a lot of YouTube content for fun. And this was now, I think it was like 10 or 11 years ago. And that followed me from middle school to the start of college. And I made a bunch of vlogs and music video parodies and skits and stuff like that. And I had a lot of fun doing it. And I reminded myself of that when I watched it. And I kind of remembered why I started making videos, because it was fun. And I saw myself as a kid, and during a time where I didn't have to worry about anything except just living life and doing the things that I enjoy. And I guess that made me shed a tear and made me see how far I've come from that point in life. It's been a decade now, and I am 24, and I guess if no one watches this video, I know I will. Hi, Jonathan. And I'm curious where you are right now in your journey. Maybe you'll see this in another decade, maybe sooner, maybe later, but hopefully doing greater things and bigger things with filmmaking. And I'm starting this year, 2026, with the intention of following myself through my journey and taking note of it. And I hope that my entire journey to start to the finish will be an auto filmography. I don't know if that's a term or if I just made it, but a testament, so to say, about being human and existing in this world. And by the end of my journey, every content, every video, every film that I make will be a timestamp of the emotions and thoughts and feelings and perceptions and whatnot at that period in time. And I you know, making film and my first short film and working on my project currently, Yokai, it's a lot of fun, but it's also a creative outlet and art for me to express myself. And I don't know if you'll feel this way in the future, but I feel as though sometimes my head is a bit fucked up, you know, and I have a lot of pain. And I feel as though I need to express it. And through that process, I find truth to myself and to the world and to the people around me. And there's no other greater feeling than that. And that is what I'm chasing. It's not a dream because I'm living it right now. Just working with friends, collaborating with people with such great minds to make such beautiful films and art. That is the dream. But what I'm doing is more of a way of living, per se. You know, I think I lived my life long enough without insight or reflection, and a lot of things were brewing. But this point forward, you know, I wanna be able to look and learn and, you know, become more than myself and more than my thoughts and greater than myself. And that's what my films will project, hopefully, and touch people and make my audience feel emotions. And, you know, hopefully I have good things to say, and I think I do. Just with the project that I'm working on now, I'm like, I think this is the truth, and it's my social responsibility, right, to share that. But I do not know how long this video is going to be, because it's my first one, and I will actually be going through my journal here. 2025. I mean, it contains journals and notes and all that, and I wanted to share it. So yeah, let's let's get started. So I think the first quote that I have here, with a bunch of sticky notes, is by Christopher Nolan. Play to your strength. Do something that really excites you, whatever's different about that. And I don't know, I guess I just put the sticky note when I first started, you know, to work on my project in January, how to make mapo tofu, just to persevere and remind myself that, I have something to say and can make something and have fun doing it. And then I also have, I was learning color grading on DaVinci Resolve, and I saw like whatever color grading complicated, but in order to match the colors, you have to first match it to the middle gray, and that's, number 8B8680, and I had that actually also on my computer just to look at for reference. But when I was writing this short film, I don't know, I guess wanted to make a production company, just like I did 10 years ago with SBY with my friends, and I just wanted to start something new. And I looked at this word middle gray, and for some reason it just spoke to me and it just felt right. Something about it being the center of all colors, it being between black and white, and I mean, we can go much deeper with the duality of man and art that's just not black or white, but just gray, I don't know. So I started Middle Gray. Right now it's just an idea, and it's a production company and a vessel for my work, but eventually I want it to be something greater. Like, I want to actually start like a studio and keep gathering a community of artists and creatives, and curate art that is human. And yeah, I think that'd be pretty dope. So yeah. Anyways, this is like the first picture I drew. I don't know, just sitting in Alston on a bench, just outside in the day, and it was a lovely day, and just drew that. I'm kind of proud of it. I don't know why. Yeah, pretty cool. Anyways, I have a bunch of notes here, and my first sketch of storyboard of how to make mapo tofu. Yeah, pretty proud of that. It's pretty small, but I look back on this and it's nice to look back on. So one of the notes that I actually wrote here was the implied, creating this short film with such limitations, not just budget, but time and resources. I think pushed me and my team to get a lot more creative. And one of the things, it's a dark horror comedy, so it's hard to do that without SFX or VFX. But I think one of the greatest things that I learned about this genre is the implied, and what you can't see. And sometimes, what you can't see can be scarier than what you can, right? What the mind creates rather than what you show them, what you show yourself. Our imagination is the scariest thing, right? Anyways, April 26th, 2025, I wrote my first journal entry. How to make Mapo Tofu director's reflection. And it goes like this. As a screenwriter, director, filmmaker, everything I will create will come with a message. True filmography, in its purest form, is an art with purpose and intent. In a world full of beauty and colors, I must find my own voice. Comparison is a thief, and envy is my enemy. I feel unable, poorly made, rudimentary. Can I really do it? Do I even believe in myself? I think. Yet, I think. My mind is my greatest tool. Behind the explosions, the laughs, the fantasies and tragedies, the delusions and distortion, the cowboys, the love and chaos, somewhere deep, deep, deep inside is a voice. A small white light, strung to the clouds, connected to something greater. I believe this is my soul, connected to the higher power of God. I am merely a vessel to imitate the art of the greatest creator and artist in existence, his complexity and intricacy unfathomable. My mind is full of superficial ideas, intangible themes, and dismembered narratives. But once the small light begins to shine bright, a message is foretold and purpose begins to unfold. My mind, scattered and broken, begins to pull these pieces in, creating a web of light. It's not until I step back I can finally see. It is not me, but through me that I am able to create. With this I aspire. This fire burns, it drives. I must find my voice, my style, and become an auteur. I must learn everything there is to know about film. I must learn how to utilize intent. I must know what I want, my vision. I must learn how to communicate so that I can relay my vision to the actors and everyone around me. With every step, with every project, I will learn and adapt and know and grow. I will become a filmmaker, a director, an artist in the name and blessings of the Lord. I was very, you can tell how much fire and passion I have for this. May 1st, 2025. There's been a lot going through my mind recently. Thoughts, my future, my career, my aspirations. One of the main things being what my goals are. I am a big dreamer. I know that. Sometimes so big I come to doubt myself as much as others doubt me. If I limit myself, am I leaving room for growth? Or am I merely a grapevine following the path of a stick? Doubt is a disease. It seems to swallow me whole, even if a shallow shadow casts upon my face. It's quick and debilitating. With doubt comes jealousy and self-destruction. Why do I so easily subject myself to this darkness? Do I have what it takes? Am I literate enough to construct deep and meaningful narrative? My imagination is boundless, but can it become tangible? I ask myself these questions endlessly. Film is a beauty, an art. I lack the understanding, yet I feel so much. My emotions have always been ahead of my head. I spit my heart out. It burns. I wanted so much. To create. To create. My God bless me. I know what to do. It is to do. I have always been to do. I cannot live my life in darkness. I'm afraid of what I might become if it consumes me. Not monstrous, but pitiful and desolate. Do. So much to do. Pick up that ball and take another shot. Go at your pace. You will find your art. You will find your voice. You are nothing, and you will be nothing. Keep doing. Do something that grows your craft every day, whether it's writing, listening to a film, podcast, or watching a movie. Create. Do. let yourself grow and allow God to lead. Don't be ashamed. Do you, be you, create. In caps. I have a entry here on some of the movies that I watched during this time, especially The Space Odyssey, 2001. Some things of note from each of these movies that I watched. Silence and breathing makes tension and anxiety, particularly that scene in 2001 that really caught me in the moment was when he was drifting through space. I believe he was like trying to get some reactor or something or fix something. And it's just him in space and all we hear is breathing, and for some reason I felt like my heart beating faster. Like literally in that silence I felt anxious, just as I feel like the narrative wanted me to, just by hearing them breathe faster. And I don't know, something about that was powerful. I watched The Apartment. Blocking is key. Narrative, character motives, and dialogue to reflect that blocking. And just like I don't know, I believe it was inspired by Akira Kurosawa, The Apartment, and how well it was blocked. And I'm actually watching his filmography right now, and one of the jobs as a director is to block characters in the frame. And I don't know, it was pretty powerful. And I don't know, I feel like blocking is, I don't know, maybe I don't know enough to say this, but I feel like it's pretty easy for me. It's just, I think I guess I don't really know much, I guess. I'm just learning, but I guess it's, the hard part is intentionally and moving the audience's eyes on the screen of the characters and reflecting its motives and the characters' emotions, displaying that, I guess, is like the hard part about it, yeah. And actually, The Apartment was probably the first black and white film that I watched. And something about the light and shadows in its purest form on the frame was also very powerful, especially with the close-up shots of the characters, made their facial expressions, their emotions so much more objective. I think color is great. I love color and color theory and what it could do, but like stripping all the color away and just the contrast between the black and the white, just being able to see every single line and feature of the face, and displaying that emotion of, I don't know, like remorse, sadness, or just powerful emotions without words could be conveyed so objectively. And it's provocative, I guess. I don't know, I love it, which is why I'll be working with black and white in this film, my next short film, and I'm excited for that. Pure emotion. Let's see. I guess another movie I have written down here is Talk to Me. Character feeling isolated from someone, people, or their environment. The depth of focus is shallow, even if they interact with characters and focus only a bit in the frame. When they are in a comfortable environment and with people she trusts, the depth is clear, deep and clear. And I mean, I guess this is more towards cinematography and how you can portray emotions not only through blocking but also through framing and everything in that frame and how you focus it, or just every single aspect of what you can do with the lens and the camera and the lighting to convey that particular emotion and that scene. I think that is to reflect the character's mind. I think is powerful as well. Something I intend to use. I think the next movie is Queer, the appearance of Allerton, who is elegant and immediate stature, walks in front of Lee in slow motion, like Tadzio in Death of Venice, 1971, which is a movie that I've been wanting to watch, and I wrote it down here for a reason, but I haven't watched it yet. So if you haven't watched that yet, watch it. He's an enigmatic figure and becomes a alluring object of desire. Just like in The Mood for Love, two characters lock eyes in slow motion. Moments that pass by can mean absolutely everything. Yeah, I think slow motion. I don't know, there's something so dramatic about that. I love it. And sometimes I perceive life in slow motion, especially the emotion of love. And yeah, I don't know, it's dramatic, even not just for love, but for action and drama. I think one of the powerful things about things that I remember is actually the slow trucking movement that oh man, I'm forgetting the song name. Love Remastered 20 I don't know, but I fell in love with this song because of this film, and I was just listening to on repeat, and we just move into James Bond. I don't know his name, I'm sorry, Daniel, whatever. We move close into him as he's sitting like in front of his drugs and just contemplating life and darkness, and that slow push-in was very powerful, as well as, you know, that movie had crazy scenes, VFX and FX, but the scene where he's longing for Allerton and there's like almost an opaque hand that is touching him or is feeling him, I think was pretty powerful as well. All right, we're back. I know I said I wasn't gonna cut anything, but it was only because I needed to use a bathroom. Anyways, I will continue. Yeah, anyways, that opaque hand that leans in towards him, that is, you know, that has to do with the editing. And I think that is such a tool that is so well utilized to display his longing for him and his desire, and that is essentially the medium of film and what it can do. And yeah, I don't know, there's like so many there's so many different ways you could use film and all its tools to do that, and I think it's great. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I know what I'm trying to say, I just can't say it. I'm not good with words. But I think one of my favorite is the match cut and editing. I've always loved the match cut. I don't know if it's like the jump in time and just like using editing to overlap time and character and merge it together, something you can't do in reality, but to display that, I think it's pretty powerful. And I love the match cut is basically what I'm just trying to say. Anyways, 12 Angry Men, also great with blocking, just a single location with 12 characters. I'm sorry, I said that Akira Kurosawa influenced 12 Angry Men, not The Apartment. I want to correct myself on that. But another black and white film that I watched where you just get pure emotion out of the character, and I don't know, I'm realizing that I'm starting to fall in love with black and white, something that I thought I wouldn't do because I love color so much. But the more I watch old films and works that are in black and white, I'm just like, wow, this is a staple of the medium of film. I think it can express so much no matter how advanced we get in technology and the digital era. Like it is now a tool and is now an option, an aesthetic that could be utilized for storytelling in the modern day. And I think it should be continued to be used, and I will continue to use it for sure. Yeah. I wrote this down, and obviously I watch a lot of movies and watched a lot of movies, but I enjoyed kind of talking about this. I was gonna skip this page, but I think I might do that. I think I might talk on these videos about each movie more as like a blog, right? Because I think it's obvious. I want to watch a lot of movies, and I think it's important to, just like any other art form, if you want to pursue like painting or theater, like knowing the form and previous works of any art form is important. But I guess I'm much more conscious about how much I consume with media. And I want to be intentional every time I watch a movie. I don't want to just watch a movie just to watch it on my phone or whatever. Just I want to really pay attention to the story. So, anyways, I'm enjoying this, and I will keep doing this. And then I did watch a lecture about story and screenwriting by Paul Schrader. He wrote The Last Testament of Christ and Taxi Driver. That's just some of his works, but yeah, he's incredible. And I'm just gonna go through some of the notes. He said, to understand how art works, it begins with yourself. You are the raw material. And he sort of goes through the steps from problem, metaphor, plot, oral tradition, and outline. And starting with the metaphor is important. And I think, especially with my own filmmaking, I don't write, or I don't even think, I feel, when I reflect on my experiences in terms of life as is, but as a metaphor. I think that's why all my prompts and ideas are so boundless and crazy because it's always speaking in a metaphor. And I feel like that's metaphors and analogies and symbolisms are such a powerful way to communicate ideas and express my feelings, rather than, just saying. And I think as I'm studying screenwriting and storytelling, that it's just been, just proving that idea. And yeah. So he says that metaphor is the standard, not the problem itself. We start with a problem and something. He says that you start with a problem and you want to write something. And once you have the idea, the problem, or whatever you want to write about, the concept, the premise, and the metaphor, it's like two wires, he says. And once you have the perfect metaphor for it and you get close to it, like essentially those two wires kind of spark. And that's when you spark the car, I guess, in my own words, to the vehicle to drive your story. Once you have that, yeah. And for the plot, he says, you take a problem and you drive through a metaphor, through the events. We explore nature of problem by exploring the nature of plot. Only so much plot, but intriguing problem and metaphor. Past plots will live again. I guess what I was just saying and what he just said here is kind of, that you start the car with the spark and you have the car running with that metaphor, and the plot is kind of like the vehicle in which you drive the story. It's interesting that now that I'm reading back on this, Paul Schrader uses the word problem as his premise. Yeah, kind of shows like how he gets into the headspace of like what he wants to write about, some like dark character reflection, I don't know. And for oral tradition, screenwriting is not literary tradition, it is an oral tradition. You tell story repeatedly and re-outline. And two good things happen from this. After you repeatedly tell the story and repeatedly outline, you get sick of the story, it dies and withers. And you protect yourself from others. And the story is sick of being told and it's time to go to work. Storytelling, you see it. Audience attention, tell story in 30 minutes, go to the bathroom, come talk about it, politics specific, and the last ending. I guess this is kind of like a practice of pitching the idea to people, this telling and seeing how the audience reacts and see how much their attention is held. I actually, after I wrote this and I learned this, I keep this in the back of my head when I'm talking to people about my ideas. I think I have a gift for keen observation through body language and, the faces they make when I'm telling the idea, when I lose them. But just in the middle, just leaving to use the bathroom and talk about completely something else and seeing if they want to hear more about what I was talking about, the story. I think that's a pretty good way of seeing, if they like the story and if it's good. Film is a fixed time frame. Must be very aware of the calibration of your time, like a long distance runner checking points of where he should be at what time. Outline includes every scene, length of every scene, the projection of every scene, then cross out to see what page number you're actually on. So outlining, I think when I work on my first feature film, I'm still practicing the form of my screenwriting. But when I do write an outline, I think this is something to note. Just to remember that it's a long distance, it's a marathon. Just to keep checkpoints of where you're at. And he talks a bit about the script. He talks about how dialogue can be linear, no engagement. And the exercise, he says, to practice is reading lines in reverse, putting the answers before your questions. And this is always more interesting. He quotes Harold Pinter. He says, language is a tool we use not to communicate. And research that I did was Harold Pinter's plays often explore how language is used to manipulate, intimidate, and fail to communicate. A tool for connection, yet a barrier. Silence is powerful. His characters use language to hide discomfort, avoid confrontation, or exert control over others. And as a person myself, I'm not that great with words, and I say this quite often to people. It's hard for me to express my feelings and my thoughts to others, even to myself. So I think this Harold Pinter's quote here kind of highlights just how language is used and dialogue can be used between humans. And I think this is a perspective that I kind of practice when I'm writing. That I want to show more action, almost no words. I don't have any words in my short film. My first short film, How to Make Bangpa Tofu, and even for Yokai, when I'm writing it, the words seemed, I don't want to. Why say words when you can show it through action? And I think that's much more powerful, especially, that's what the medium of film is for, right? One of my friends, my good friends, Tony, quoted his professor, writing is for what you think. Theater is for what you say, and film is for what you do. And I think action should always come first, and the words should follow or supplement the actions, because the actions are essentially what shows character, right? And that's reflective of our human character and nature. Actions say so much more than words. And we use language and words as a mean to not say anything or say something else. Yeah, I don't know if I communicated that well. Not good with words, like I said. But, yeah. I have notes here for the steps to take. I think I got this off of Studio Binder, about just starting a short film, and I think I'm just gonna highlight the things that I think are more relevant. I, 。 Thinking about the medium of film depends deeply on editing techniques, clever sound designs, film grammar, and storytelling. Look in your own backyard. I think that's more of a way just to look around at your resources, especially as an indie filmmaker myself, with not big budgets and resources. It's important to look around what's available to me, such as this room or the park outside, and the resources that friends and collaborators in projects also provide. Location tech scouting checklist, that's important. Location. I guess a note here that I highlighted is think about what makes you sit up and pay attention, or what disturbs you and prompts questions. Where you stumble, there lies treasure. Mood board. Genre and twist. A lot of these things I'm not going to get into just because I feel like in my future notes, I know I talk about it more in depth after doing research. But yeah, anyways, Charlie Kaufman, screenwriter's lecture. Charlie Kaufman, wow, he's been a big inspiration to me during my start of my journey. And I'm not going to even say anything. I'm just going to read things that he said in his lecture that really touched me. He says that I do not know anything, and I felt that when he first said that quote so strongly, because I also feel that I am nothing, and I think it's a good reminder for me that I am nothing. And I will be nothing at the end of the day, but it's what comes out of me, being nothing, creating something that I think is something so much more beautiful about that, and a reminder that out of nothing anything is possible. So he quotes Thomas Mann: "A writer is someone for whom writing is harder than it is for other people." Say who you are, and really say it in your life and work. He quotes, "We do not talk, we bludgeon one another with facts and theories gleaned with cursory readings of newspapers, magazines, and digests. People spend countless hours of their lives every week being fed entertainment. It's also equally ludicrous to believe that this means mass distraction and manipulation is not convenient for the people in charge. People are starving. They may not know it because they're being fed mass-produced garbage. They are selling you something, and the world is built on this now. Politics and governments, corporations, interpersonal relationships are all built on this. We are starving, and we're killing each other. We want to win because we're lonely and empty and scared, and we're led to believe winning will change all that. But there is no winning. Some will see themselves in you, be less lonely in their world. That will give them hope, and it's done so for me. Give that to the world rather than selling something to the world. Don't allow yourself to be tricked into thinking that the way things are is the way the world must work. That selling is what everyone must do. Try not to." He quotes E.E. Cummings: "To be nobody but yourself in a world which is doing its best night and day to make you everybody else means to fight the hardest battle, which any human being can fight and never stop fighting. The world needs you." A screenplay's movement. before I move on, wow, how powerful is that? Just the things that he just said in the beginning. I think this lecture was a decade ago, but I mean, it's so prevalent, even more prevalent, and will be ever more prevalent in our society as things become so much more convenient and technology advances, that we keep easily become sheep, so to say, and have no thought and become so much more controlled, that I think it's so important to be ourselves, be our authentic selves, and express that through our life and our work. And that will make people feel less lonely. And I think this world is starving of people who are so lonely and anxious and isolated. So they crave humanity, they crave the truth. So it's even more important to just fight the battle against society. I think the hardest thing to do, to be yourself and be the individual rather than the uniform, I guess. And yeah, hopefully through all my works will display that and who I am and my thoughts, and if it's good and if it's something that's meant to be said, you'll feel that and feel less lonely. I do not know what the wound is. I do know that it is old. I do know that it is a hole in my being. I do know it is tender. I do believe that it is unknowable. I do believe you have a wound too. I believe it is the thing about you that must be hidden and protected. It is the thing that makes you weak and pathetic. It is the thing that truly, truly, truly makes loving you impossible. It is a secret even from yourself. But it is the thing that wants to live. It is the thing from which your art, your painting, your dance, your composition, your philosophical treatise, your screenplay is born. If you don't acknowledge this, you will come up here when it is your time. You are a cog in a business machine. You will say it is not an art form. This is who you will be. And after that, you are done. And after you are done, I will feel lonely and empty and hopeless. This quote by Charlie Kaufman is also hit me hard because, just like I said earlier, when I write, it comes from me, and I feel like I have so much I want to say and so much pain that I want to express and I want to be seen, and that darkness in me that I've been suppressing, and I think a lot of us suppress continually, wants to live, and through my words I'm able to say it, and the truth speaks back to me. And yeah, Harold Pinter, he quotes, "A writer's life is a highly vulnerable, almost naked activity. We don't have to weep about that. The writer makes his choice and is stuck with it. But it is true to say that you are open to all the winds. You are out on your own, no shelter, no protection, unless you lie, in which case you have constructed your own protection. And it could be argued, become a politician." Think about the reaction, think past it. Why do you have that reaction? Why do you react a certain way to certain things? What does your reaction have to do with your wants? How does it correlate? What if they were older, female, race? What does it mean about you that it would change? And this here, I think, speaks to character and our own insight into our lives, right? Just questioning everything, you know, not taking anything for face value, reflecting on our emotions and reactions and why we think the way that we are, you know, breaking it down. This is something that I'm trying to practice more and more in my day, microdosing on this idea of reason to everything, you know, reason to not just myself, but to the people around me. And I think the more I understand myself and the more I understand others, the more insight you have into just how the world works. And this also plays into, you know, characters in my story. And that's something beautiful about creating stories and life, you know, that it's almost like a reflection of each other, but it's almost not. It's like I learned so much through my writing process, similar to how I would just learn through life, you know. I don't know, it's great. Think about all your assessments, all interpretations that occur with each interaction. Think about all that you bring to each encounter, multiply that by all the people here. How much is going on in this room, and how do we weave that into a movie? The challenge of multiple points of views force us to come up with new solutions. Movies tend to be very concrete in their construction of events and characters. It's a tricky medium to deal with interior lives. And, you know, just from my point that I said earlier, hold on, I'm gonna put do not disturb. Just from my point that I was saying, right? Just like how life in a room, there's people who have different motives, and constantly everyone has a motive. Everyone has something that they want, you know, whether it's wanting to get a coffee or wanting to speak to their crush across the room, or wanting, I don't know, you know. So everyone has a want, and everyone has a desire to why they're there at that time in existence, that very minute, you know. And that's exactly what, you know, why in storytelling, characters in movies they feel alive, because they have a want and desire too. And, you know, just observing humans and their characters and their actions and what they do is kind of similar to how you would construct characters. And I think, I don't know, learning life is learning how to write a movie and a film. You know, it's yeah, and vice versa. Movies share so much with dreams, which of course only deal with interior lives. Your brain is wired to turn emotional states into movies. Your dreams are very well written. Anxieties, crises, love, longing, regret, guilt are turned into beautiful, rich stories in their dreams. Dreams are private conversations with ourselves. Dreams, just, yeah, I love to dream. A screenplay is an exploration. It's about anything you don't know. There's a starting point, but the rest is undetermined. It is a secret even from you. What's exciting is that you find yourself in an environment where they're encouraged to use their powers to explore the world, their minds, and the form itself. Just think about the staggering possibilities and the marriage of light, vibration, and time. Danger in the craft is that it needs to be in second position to what it is that you're doing. It is seductive to put it in first position, often because what you're doing is meaningless or worthless. You can distinguish yourself by being really good at the craft. You have to be willing to be naked, otherwise it is very hard to separate it from the mass. So writing a screenplay, right, as I'm practicing the form, is essentially this, right? Where like it's an exploration into a world that you don't know, and as you break into the world, the setting and the characters, like it constantly changes and evolves into something that you have no idea what it will become. And through that process, you learn so much about, I keep saying you, but I should stop saying you, right? Because this is a very subjective experience. I learn so much about myself. Because it comes from stories, and the art comes from you, right? And our experiences in the world, our reality, our cosmos is just our perception of, it's just a singular perception of reality, and it's made up of our own emotions, and we fill narratives to other people's lives, and nothing exists out of the bounds of what we know and what we feel, right? So putting yourself into the art, you are piecing things, I keep saying you, I piece things together, and yeah, I just find out so much about myself and my emotions and what I believe, and it's just such it's a way of living, you know? I think that's what's so great about writing a screenplay, being a writer, you know? And anyways, our culture is marketing. It drives our consumer culture. Don't participate. Try and fit into the existing system. I want to tell you, I have hope, but there is another way to be in this world. With courage, honesty, vulnerability, the stuff we put into this world can serve a better purpose. Allow your screenplay to grow, change as you work. You will discover things you work as you work. Do not disregard the little voices to simplify. Let's not worry about what it'll look like. Let's not worry about failure. Failure is a badge of honor. If you don't risk failure, you're never going to do anything that's different than what you've already done. This is a choice. Do not compartmentalize to make things simpler than they are. Don't work towards results. Allow yourself time, let things brew. Letting the unconscious take over brings in freedom and surprise, and removes judgment. At every single moment, every single person wants something, often many things, often conflicting things. Understand this about your characters and yourself. You are creating a world. Consider everything, every character, every room, every juxtaposition, every increment of time as an embodiment of that world. Look at it through this filter and make sure it is consistent. When you make a movie, you have to know why it's a movie. If it doesn't have to be a movie, you shouldn't make it. It's very important that what you do is specific to the medium which you are doing it in. You utilize what's specific about that medium. If you can't think about why, then it doesn't need to be done. Figure out what it is about this if you want to do it. that needs to be told in the form of a movie. And he ends with this: what I have to offer is me, what you have to offer is you. And if you offer yourself with authenticity and generosity, I will be moved. Charlie Kaufman, folks. Round of applause. How inspirational. I'm gonna drink water because my throat is getting dry. June 27th, 25. What does it mean to tell a story? To tell a story means connection. When I think of stories, I think of old folk tales. An old tribal chief by the fire pit, smoking his long pipe, his clothes and feathers full of color, fluttering as he dramatized his characters. Or an alcoholic miner, a father who tells his little boy about the explosion in '84, the lamp casting stark shadows of the chaos which ensued. A story is captivating. It's a journey that takes an audience into a different space and time, paced with suspense, strung by tribulations and conflicts, played by the unexpected and fixed to resolution. Or no resolution at all. There are no bounds to a story, but there must be a message, a core. Without it, a story is lost. The audience, confused or disappointed, building suspense and drama is easy, but landing on something real is hard. The core is shock. That's what the audience leaves with. It's not powerful. Shock, value is not powerful. If the core is a message or a moral, that's what the audience leaves with. Both can be equally powerful, marked into our memories or the subconscious. A message can be life-changing, a brink in a wall of our principles. The cathartic experience of living a life outside of yours provides insight into the soul, a connection between our wandering selves and the divine. Something greater than our physical existence, something closer to a purpose. A story should unite people, whether it is a shared experience or a connection on a personal level. We live with these stories just as we live in our own. We consume different forms of stories, different mediums, a collection of arts based on what it means to be human. Whether we seek entertainment, escape, or connection, we leave with pieces of ourselves or a discovery of ourselves. Or maybe we just feel a little less lonely in a place with nothing at all. July 6, 2025. I believe that becoming a screenwriter and director is a powerful responsibility. There is a fine line between creation and narcissism. Once you have a vision, you have complete control. You have control over the story and what the audience sees, what the audience hears and feels. It's also about becoming a leader, driving a team towards what you want. It's your story, a part of who you are. Why should they follow you? Why should anyone dedicate their time to hearing what you have to say? They have to believe in you. Believe you have some good or purposeful thing to say. Otherwise, you're lost in yourself. You are nothing. My depressing thoughts overcome me, yet there is a beauty in being nothing at all. The kind of emptiness that is feeling. You are a blank canvas. There is an endless amount of possibilities to what you can become. In that space, you are defined by strokes and colors. In the end, you are a canvas. Maybe someone that walks by you will stop and see you and feel that you are feeling. You are nothing, giving something. Like a breath that becomes air and gives life. Everything in between, nothing at all. I wish for people to live, to laugh, to cry, to feel. In a world full of dread, pain, and loneliness, there is a reason to live. We are connected to something greater, something we cannot see but feel. And to feel, it is to be human. To be human, it is to be nothing at all. July 9th, 2025. I seek to unlock my mind, to open my eyes to the universe, to listen to the muse of the world, become in tune with the birds that sing. I'm drifting through a river flowing through the currents. I wish to be creative. I believe it is the best thing to be in a world that seems not to make any sense. We run and we chase and we fight for things we cannot see, hoping that these things will fulfill us. The black endless hole that exists in us. But it doesn't, and it never will. I don't know, but I feel it. That there is a better way to live. Simply just to be alive, to feel. The more I feel, the more I will be alive. I want to feel the breeze on a humid evening. I want to feel the waves crashing against the shore and tickling my toes. I want to feel the music and the language from all around the world. I want to feel all these things so that I may grow. I want to connect with the world. I do not know what I might find, but when I find it, I will share it with the world. I will share it to all those around me. Possibilities seem endless. I have no bounds. I am large. I am a multitude. Each of us are on our own streams, falling down somewhere deeper into the earth. Sometimes we join streams with others and depart streams with others, all on our own paths, like roots from the trees of life. We spread, we grow, and we intertwine. I wish I could live all these lives, see all these things. What world would I find? Who am I? Beyond nurture and nature, I am my own self now. Am I an amalgamation of the faces I surround myself with? Am I shaped by my environments and tribulations that I face? If so, how much is it in my control? I'm sitting at a cafe, I heard a song, I liked it, I might use it for my film. Was that purely chance by coincidence? If I had gone to a different cafe, would I have heard a different song? Or had I an interaction that was meaningful that I missed? I don't know. All I know is that I like this song. It's funny when you hear the universe, even when you don't try, it talks to you or whispers in your ear. Sometimes you don't even know that it's working in you. You just feel that it is right. It's funny because when it clicks, you can't help but let out a smile that no one else understands, a chuckle between you and the universe. So what if you fully opened your ears to the universe and hear every conversation, every leaf that falls from a tree, every song that walks by? Imagine the laughs you would have with the universe, what it would say, what you will learn, what it will take you, where it will take you. This makes me believe that fate and free will are bound together, a dichotomy that works in harmony. We are defined by our choices, every small or monumental decision, and what we choose, fate meets us there. So choose wisely, because we have an infinite amount of choices but a limited amount of time. Fate will give us how we choose. I do not know how it gives, but I do know that I can choose. That's what life is, a balance between what is and a complete mystery. Oh, to be alive. And this is just a short, my first short film, How to Make Mapo Tofu Reflection. I think it's important I wrote here to give yourself more time. I found myself squeezing schedule, gave yourself no space for creativity. More time to dwell, I guess, and more time to shoot, although that may be hard, we'll see. Finding my team, my Avengers, learning to talk to actors, acting class, going to acting classes. I did do that actually. Scene study, director's action, creative arts. Giving more time between when I say action and cut, I think it's also important that I didn't do. I was like so in the moment, so in the rush. I didn't let the scene breathe. And I think it needs to breathe. Sound is important. The cohesion of music and sound, strung along like story itself. When broken, warped, it becomes intentional. I think what I'm trying to say here is the essence of silence and sound, I think, is such a powerful tool in the medium of film as well. The contrast between those two things can say so much and make the audience feel so much. Not everything will be perfect as envisioned. Trust the process and team. Allow the story to speak to you, what it wishes to become. To create a film, it means to continually grow each step. And as a director, you are a protector of the story and actor. An analogy that I wrote here is the story is like a child, your baby. Protect and nurture it. Like my own relationship with parents, you love it. Sometimes it's hard to care for it. You have expectations, but sometimes you are disappointed. But the story is a whole, other palpating being. It wants to live. It's a part of you, born from you, but you must allow it to grow bigger than you. Eventually, let it teach you about the world and yourself in a new, different way. Let go of trying to control the story. It will break it. Rather, instill deeply its core, its message, then protect that, guide it, and watch it sprout, and mature into something that's great and beautiful. Be a proud parent. Another thing I wrote here to note is consider pacing, the sequence of events, how long, short is the shot, and be intentional with the cuts as well. Consider set design and location. That's one of the big things that I learned working on this project was what does set and location say about the character and about their personality. You know, there's so much that you can tell in the story by its props and the things surrounding the character and what it touches, and their state of mind, the world around them, you know. It's part of the world, right? Oh, I guess I continue here with the analogy of story being my child and me being a parent. Is that if the story is like your child, the actor is your spouse. This relationship is precious and sacred. Only through love, caring, and collaboration will the story grow to its fullest potential. Not through compromise, but collaboration, never settling for less. Like settling boundaries. They must challenge you, you must challenge them. What is the purpose of a relationship, and if it is not to challenge you, push you? Most importantly, they must feel seen and heard. If not, this relationship will fall apart. They must resent you, ignore you, give you the silent treatment. But if your story, the baby, will feel this, it will have trauma and it will show. But if you see them for all that they are, and listen to their inputs, thoughts, critiques, you and the story will grow. You must protect this highly vulnerable relationship. They are open to the winds. If they watch themselves, they will be lost. We are only fully ourselves when no one else is watching, and we are not watching, ourselves. Respect them, love them, see them, hear them, protect them. Only then will they be able to fully blossom and raise the story beyond you. I don't know, I think that's a beautiful analogy. Story being my baby, and the actor being kind of like the spouse, and the crew being the whole family, the whole village. The saying, it takes a whole village to raise a child. And it's essentially that. Every member of the crew, we're all a big family trying to raise this story. Yeah, so I'm already at an hour and 21 minutes, which is kind of crazy. I didn't even realize how fast time was going, but I'm gonna speed run through the rest. Just gonna read through what I have to say. Let's see. I did a script analysis on the opening scene of Inglourious Basterds by Quentin Tarantino, and some things of note is capping to emphasize sound and details, such as the farmer splashes water on his face. Underlining dialogue for keywords, who I am. Au revoir, Shoshana. Oh boy. We are halfway through, but we're gonna push through. Okay, so I took my first acting class on July 13th, 2025. I'm gonna drink my water. And, I wrote a lot here. But I'm not gonna read all of it because I'm getting tired too. So one of the things that I learned about acting is that it's important to know what you need to feel, right? And as an actor, if you care, right, and the audience will feel that. They will feel that you care, and that you know. And if you have empathy, the audience will too. Let's see, I wrote here, how do you feel in acting? Bates says you need to care, to be vulnerable and exude empathy by simply you know. I believe he means intention, a broad term yet so simple. I believe this means this might be core. Direction, movement, or action comes second. If it follows naturally, it follows naturally. You must know what you want at every single moment. Every single person wants something. Motive does, it defines us. So if you know what you want, movement and dialogue, reaction and action should follow naturally. Knowing equals motive. Caring equals emotion. And motive plus emotion equals human. So something that I noted here for myself was, for compelling performance and character presence, to use action verbs, aka dynamic verbs, words that describe action, mental or physical, a subject performs. Doing or has to be done, not adjectives or adverbs, action verbs. More specific, the better. For example, you're going to kill him, but you could say you're going to mutilate him. Not be sad, but mourn, despair. Offer concrete direction, eliminating ambiguity. Action verbs inherently linked to physical actions. Action verbs are inherently linked to physical actions. Evokes emotional responses, guides behavior, posture, gestures, and vocal tones. Yeah, that is one of my big takeaways, just from studying Bates and how he was directing us, was through action verbs. But yeah, I think that's pretty important. It is. But I think real gifted actors, they know, right, what they want, why they're there, what they're doing. Therefore, everything else follows. More with action verbs. Examples: accuse, seduce, deny, intimidate, reassure, confront, defend, mock, charm, persuade. It's important to be specific. Use verbs that accurately reflect the character's intention and desired outcome, the motives. These words could in turn provoke the emotion. So I guess this is really important to speaking and directing actors to more of what the character wants, right? That what they really want to do, that the character wants to accomplish. And the emotions should follow. And I have a quote here from Konstantin Stanislavski. To question as to whether an action verb is doable, you have to measure the ability of the actor to pursue the action readily without any dialogue. Represent something you can actually do, influence to other characters. Strong objective, strong obstacles, strong actions. Actions are mini objectives attached to each beat. And I guess I have a quote from someone named Chubbuck. Chubbuck? I don't know. Is that a word? I don't know what that word is, to be honest. But I wrote that it conceives of actions in the second person, specifically thinking about them. directing the actor to make the other character make them laugh or get you to trust them. Doing is acting. Tell me what a man does, and I will tell you who he is. Director entry, July 21st, 25. I want to talk about Wong Kar-wai and his influence on my journey as an artist and creative. An introduction to a whole different form and style of cinema, emotion and impression. Abandoning the existing structure, story, and perceiving together fragments of moments and memories onto a screen. He has dedicated his life into a beautiful picture. Reflecting himself into a splattered painting of colors and lines, he creates a deep mood for longing and connection, often tragic and dark. Broken souls wandering, rubbing elbows against one another, as he says. Often, or very often, do I see myself in his world, tangled in relationships, desiring fantasies, and lost in time. The strongest memories is often said to be linked to the sense of smell. For me, it is emotions. Scattered throughout time and memory, I see these images so clearly. I feel defined by them, driven by them. They lead me on, even now, no matter how hard I seem to run away from them. They seem to always find a way back in front of my eyes, sweeping me out of reality. I put both my feet on the ground, yet the safest place to be is floating in the clouds. No one can take this away from me. It is a part of me. I know this. I want to explore it without bounds. I tear myself apart to separate pieces of a whole, but I can't. So I vomit. I vomit onto this paper, molded into a story, a sludge deep within me, which its contents are unknown of its origin, yet it comes from me, deep within, an abyss residing in my soul. It wants to come out. It desires to be seen. It desires to be connected. But who wants to see my emesis? Can some find it pretty? I hope so. I hope they find me pretty. At least one person did. That's all that matters. If I could make one other person on this desolate earth to see it and make them feel, I did it. And just a reflection of my second acting class. Acting on screen is two-dimensional. Characters speak, move, our bodies speak the loudest. It projects who we are and how we feel. Language is a tool not to be used for communication. Actions speak louder than words. To feel uncomfortable, we don't say it. We close our bodies off, cross our arms, move away, shift away. To feel sad, we cry, we loosen. To feel disappointed, we don't say, we stare, we think, we look away. It's what we know, but don't tell. We show. For the audience to know what they feel, we give context. The less they know, the more they feel. We give them a story to tell. They fill in the gaps in their own experiences and baggages. The more they feel, the more they will relate. Pain. We feel pain. How much do I give? How much do I take away? The story structure is less important. I want the message to relay. I want the emotions to convey. The story, narrative, everything that supports that. Like a trophy, the message is the gold, everything else below it. It is the foundation. It's impossible to fit a whole life in 90 minutes. But what it means, what I want them to get out of it, is not. Fully coming out with the answer is wrong. If I wanted to tell you what I wanted to say, I would speak it. It's the journey that I hope to take you. I want you to think. We create stories in our heads every day, fill information we will never possess for our own sanity. How we will fill it in is based solely on the individual. We build on what already exists in us. Once they created it, they step back and see what it is. How was my message applied to your life? How does it make you feel? You are half of my art. We are the creation. another thing that I wrote from one of my acting classes was, know where you were and know where you're going to be. I think as a director who wants to be a actor's director and be there for the actor constantly, it's important to know what it's like to be in the headspace of an actor, right? And I think something that's very important when we're shooting and on production is helping them kind of understand where you are in the scene, right? When we're shooting, we won't ever shoot like chronologically, right? As much as I hope to, sometimes the schedule won't ask for that. But in that moment, in that scene, knowing where you were, right? Even if it's not in the script, in the world, what you were just doing, and where you're going to be, kind of encapsulates the performance of that scene. For example, one of the exercises that we did in the class was, that I remember so vividly, is that we have a backpack and we're given a prompt of what's in the backpack, and we kind of had to act out like how we would react, I guess. So I was told to just, there was not enough prompts to go around the class, so I was told to create my own prop, I guess, that was in the bag. And I created a scenario where I had medications that would essentially kill my mom. Dark, I know. I don't know, but that's where my mind went towards. I love my mom, by the way. I would never wish any harm upon her. But I remember we had to go in front of the class, open the bag, look at it, and then move on, right? And just by knowing what was in the bag and knowing what I wanted to do, without speaking any words, we had to show it to the class, show the emotions that were kind of riling up and different beats that we were feeling. So I remember I had to imagine that I was coming out of an alleyway right after I received the medication from the dealer. And that's kind of the environment and the situation of where I was. And I came in front of the class, I opened the bag, and I looked at the medications and kind of, was playing through all the thoughts and everything. And then I had to move on, to know that I was going to give those medications to my mom. Yeah, and I think that ties into the whole idea of what it means to know what you're doing, right? And everything else follows. A lot of the acting class practices that we did in class, we weren't allowed to say anything, right? And we weren't allowed to have any like imaginary props, or anything like that. It was purely through action and purely through just knowing what we were doing in that moment in time, and all the other emotions and body language and everything follows, and I think that's really important to kind of think about, acting and directing. Yeah. And I guess when directing actors, even if they do know that, just being more specific with the action verbs of what you're going to do or what you're trying to do, the motive is important to implement. This was from August 8th, director's entry. I started this, and this was after my conversation with fellow filmmaker Dom Floreno. Dominic, shout out to you for this. Gesamtkunstwerk. It's a German word for total work of art, synthesis of arts, all embracing art form to describe film, the medium of film. And this is how the journal goes. I learned about this word from my dear friend. Shout out to him for being one of the brightest people I know and so full of passion. Learning this word was exciting and quite empowering because creating a film is such a collective experience, different forms of art and minds mashing to become a living amalgamation, a complete harmony of lights and vibrations, literature and emotions, performance and arts, abstraction and reality, a design for a singular purpose, an orchestra driven by intent. This medium, like all other forms of art, is merely a tool. Without a core, the craft is rendered useless and empty abstraction. I believe in this bubble of thought lies the answer to my numerous conversations about an artist, writer, director's ego, an inevitable work of narcissism. Where's the line? I believe it is what we put into this Gesamtkunstwerk, this vessel that defines the difference between ego and greater purpose. What is it that you truly desire? What will be on the other side? Did I touch you? Did I shake you? What did I do? As I find my voice, I hope you will listen to me. Hear me scream behind the screen. I do not know what that means for you or me. I am nothing. I do not know anything. But through this process, I hope it will become something that will move you and move others. I learned this beautiful analogy from a creative mentor, Nakyong. He told me life is like a heart monitor. Some days are sad and tough, we go down. Some days are full of joy and boundless, we go up. But most days we just exist, a homeostatic flatline. Then it repeats, constantly bringing us up to the heights of ecstasy and pulling us down to the darkest, deepest holes. This is how we know we are living, we are alive. It is through this up and down, how we preserve our resilience, that will determine where our paths go. Life has been full of this, overwhelmingly, but in my stillness, my existence, I am so grateful to be alive. I hope you are too. I love trees, they are so green. They are so green. I thank God for everything and everything that I am. And then I wrote this after watching David Fincher's filmography, sound design, and mixing in film. I think what I took away from David Fincher's ability to direct, he does great things with, the cinematography, but I think the greatest thing that I got away from that was the sound design. We eat with our eyes and our ears. Sound affects our perspective, leads where your eyes should be. Key noises tell the story, pacing and tension, and isolate what's important. Sound is world building. Hearing things outside of the frame is imagination. Sound can also reinforce the mood of scenes. For example, the Batman 2022, I believe, the rain sounds are different. Like when the characters are feeling like anger or passion, the rain sounds are almost boiling. Or when there's love and tenderness on the scene, the rain almost sounds sweet and warm. There's so much you can do with sound and warp it. Again, to all these tools, editing, visuals, and sound to heighten the character's
emotion, right? And their state of mind and the story. Sounds, volume, and relativity can be used expressive in an expressive way. What we hear reflects what we pay attention to. By manipulating ambient sounds, the sound team places you inside the character's subjective point of view. What is the sound's goal? It is the shift between the objective and the subjective. When do you want it to sound real? When do you want it to sound like an abstraction? For example, in Fight Club, right, the punches sound real. They're gory and they're gritty, and that's what we want the audience to feel, right? To really be in that world and feel the pain in each of the punches. Reality or an impression of it. Play with it, warp it. Diegetic sound. This is a term that I just defined for myself. Is sound that occurs within the context of the story and heard by the characters within the world. It is not an omniscient soundtrack, and an omniscient soundtrack would be non-diegetic, right? Key to note is choosing what sound music to emphasize or take away, to warp, reverb, replace, to heighten the scene's mood, impression, to beautifully complement the story. And that wasn't all of what I wrote throughout my year, but I think the other parts that I have studied and will study should come in time. But if you made it this far through the video, which I doubt you did, thank you for listening. But message to you, Jonathan, is just by reading through all these entries and all this time and work that you've been putting into crafting, I have so much passion, so much fire for this, and yeah, I mean, I'm so proud of everything that I wrote here and everything that I've done. And I am continuing to research and study, and I think I will continue to do these videos of reviewing movies, and also just I'm reading this book called Story by Robert McKee that I want to reflect on as well. So yeah. Pretty tired from all that, to be honest with you, but I'm on a mission, and for this new year I want to nourish my soul and my mind and my body and my creativity, and let it all flow in peace, I guess, and hopefully to create some great pieces of art and film. Yeah. To 2026 and everything that it will bring. Hi guys. So I'm back. It's currently 4 a.m. I woke up after being tired and going to sleep, and now I'm awake. I can't sleep because I have a lot of thoughts, and I've been having a lot of these sleepless nights. A lot of anxiety about life and who I want to become, who I am, who I was. And it's gonna bother me that I didn't talk about this before ending this video. This journal entry on October 5th, 2025, I also wrote in one of my endless sleepless nights. And I think it really sums up my being at this time. So I'm gonna read it. I skipped over it actually because it's very personal to me, but it's something that I want to say out loud. I am in pursuit. My mind is shrouded with ambition, aspiration, and images. Images I must make tangible into words to ease my mind of chaos. Maybe then I will lay in peace. I come face to face with a mission, something greater than myself. I do not even know myself, but I am evoked by the presence of something greater. I feel insane almost. Already, I am faced with doubt and worry by my own family. I ask the blessings of God for this journey. If Plato believed enlightenment was found through knowledge, and Dante believed transcendence was achieved through love, I am in pursuit of all those things. I even doubt myself whether I have the bandwidth to sustain through the path ahead. Despite inside, I want to be seen. Witness me, I quietly scream. But no one will hear me. No one will truly see me. Only God, perhaps. In my reality, there is only me. Everything else is only a projection of what I am capable of understanding. Everyone around me is a fragment of my imagination. There is only one path. Where will it lead me? I am deeply human, fundamentally flawed and broken since birth. Do infants after death face judgment? What are they measured by? Their first cry and tears born into flesh. They call this a sin. Do I not amass this and become an amalgamation? If I truly find myself the reason for my thoughts, my existence, my creation, will I find you there, God? Besides truth stands death. Maybe learning what means to be human would teach me what it means to be you. Everything that I am not. If I understand this world, will I be able to travel beyond it? I do not wish for what the world is telling me. I want to give my power away. My power comes from beyond the universe, the spirit, the soul, what lies deep within each of us. If I could find that and pull it out and show the world what I find. I hope to inspire those around me, even the people that do not want to hear the truth. I will walk my path. Fate will meet me halfway. I believe God will guide me. I am blessed and privileged to walk this earth with these lenses. I am cursed and burdened to walk this earth to do so. Now I am afraid of what I will no longer do. With this new conviction, I feel that there's no return. I could not live with myself. I would crumble at the weight of my own head. I wish not to live with regret of failing this purpose. I am in pursuit. I am in pursuit of knowledge, love, freedom, of being human. I work close to death. I breathe her air. It does not faze me, but it does haunt me. A part of me asks myself if I want to die. Does that make me closer to the truth? This could be all for nothing. My efforts all in vain. I could be stripped naked at any moment, bare and afraid. Climbing the walls, horrified of the answer. I know this, and I must accept it. That is my reality. I am utterly alone. The only thing I possess is this. So I hold this very close to me. I believe there has to be a purpose to what I am. There has to be. I believe I must protect it. I must show it. That is my purpose. Don't take this away from me. Please, I beg you, do not take this away from me. How can I help others? I cannot help myself. How will I love others if I do not love myself? How will I learn if I cannot touch myself? How will I understand you if I do not know myself? Protect me, guide me, shake me down, allow me to walk. Surround myself with like-minded people, ones who are in this pursuit. Even if they are blinded, may they come closer to the truth. My greatest weakness is my greatest strength. My darkness invigorates me. I am a living dichotomy, a breathing contradiction, a simple paradox. That is my strength. That is my power. A power unspoken, hidden, true power. Even now my mind dances with the devil and God. I lie within the middle. Where will I fall? That is my testament. Between white and black, I am gray. That is where I shine. Where will I burn out? Where do you lie on that spectrum? Where will you fall? Witness me, God, see me. Allow me this darkness so that I may bathe in your light. You're crazy, delusional even. Do you know how insane you sound right now? Do you think you are? I am nothing, and that is everything. If I die without knowing the truth, I'm afraid I'll haunt this earth looking for it. I hope this story has a happy ending. Isn't that what we all want? A happy ending. Transcendence into peace, a heaven of endless love and happiness. Eternity. What I will find, I have no clue, but I hope to share it with you. My intentions for understanding this journey is good or true, shall I say. I'd like to believe so. Let's see who and what I will become. I hope it is someone I can love, someone I can be proud of. If not, I hope I have the strength to start all over again. Amen. And this video with a poem that I wrote. I do not have time. I am dying. I feel my body decaying. I hear my ears ringing. I gasp for air in my sleep. I wake up blind. Yet I love to kill my body, and I wish to do it again. I'll stare into the sun. I'll breathe my daily toxins. I'll drown in the sound outside me. I'll grasp to the youth inside me. I am living. I do not have time. Thank you.